So we learned during the last unit that cats underwent the process of domestication relatively recently, and that there's been very little in the way of human intervention in relation to selecting for desirable behaviour traits. In particular, the predatory behaviour of cats remains very similar to that of its ancestors, which is not always a trait that's conducive to modern living. In feral cat colonies, kittens are brought live prey from around 4 weeks of age and can kill mice on their own from around 5 weeks. Weaning is usually complete by around 7 weeks of age, but early weaning has been shown to result in the earlier development of predatory behaviour and an increased propensity towards hunting behaviour later in life. The reverse may also be true, with later weaned kittens demonstrating less of a desire to hunt. Generally, the kittens will learn to hunt through experience. While the mother brings live prey to the nest, she does not teach via demonstration, but manipulates the situation to increase the chances of the kitten's instinctual drives delivering a successful outcome. Studies have shown that the food choices of the mother are likely to influence the future preferences of the kittens, with the kittens opting to hunt the same strains of rodent as their mother later in life. Interestingly, the majority of cats will become relatively adept at hunting, regardless of their experience as a kitten. For example, kittens reared in social isolation, without the opportunity to watch and learn from or even play with their mother and siblings, will still show a predatory drive upon presentation of a live rodent at 11 weeks of age. Free-living cats will hunt around 30 times each day, and generally around a third of these attempts will be successful. Thus, the cat expends a lot of time and energy hunting, something that's important to remember when we consider cats living an indoor lifestyle. It's important to stress here that cats are obligate carnivores. That means that they must eat meat in order to acquire all of the essential amino acids that they need to survive. The average mouse is actually quite low in calorie content, each one delivering around 30 kilocalories, requiring the cat to eat around 10 to 15 mice per day. The cat is thus designed to receive small and frequent meals, again something we need to think about in relation to the indoor cat. Cats will generally prefer to graze on their food, eating little and often, although certain individuals can show a propensity towards overeating for a number of reasons, including competition with others and stress. The type of food fed may also predispose towards overeating and obesity, with many commercially available diets being very high in calorific and carbohydrate content. There are, however, ways of counteracting this problem, such as asking our cats to work for their food by scattering pieces of kibble around the house for them to find, or using homemade or commercially available food puzzles. So we know that generally our pet cat's nutritional requirements are met by feeding relatively small amounts of high quality commercial diet. So why do pet cats with access to the outdoors still hunt? Well, interestingly, many hunting expeditions begin just after the pet cat has ingested a meal, and it's thought that this behaviour may be driven in part by a desire for increased variety in their diet. Cats are also opportunistic hunters, which means that they'll generally take advantage of feeding opportunities when they present themselves. Other factors influencing the desire to hunt include the quality of the diet that the cat's fed, hunger, and of course the desire to satisfy a natural behavioural drive. Research suggests that well-fed cats will spend 50% less time hunting, and that they're less likely to consume their prey after capture. A hungry cat is also more likely to pursue prey to the point of a kill, whereas well-fed cats may be less focused in their quest. In fact, it's been shown that the drives to hunt and kill are controlled separately. Interestingly, well-fed cats may also be more likely to play with their victim, either just prior to or after death. It's been suggested that this behaviour reflects conflicting drives within the cat. On the one hand, the cat is driven towards killing the prey, but on the other hand, there's an element of fear and uncertainty as to how the victim is going to respond or retaliate. Hungry cats are thus more likely to eat smaller, less threatening prey immediately, due to an increased drive to kill. whereas the fool cat may be more likely to play with the victim due to a reduced kill drive and potential unmasking of the fear response. Play behaviour in adult cats is often an outlet for predatory behaviour, the target being various inanimate household objects, although cats are more likely to be motivated and play for longer if the object resembles a prey species in size and texture. As I'm sure you've seen yourselves, cats become bored with toys very quickly, essentially habituating to them. This is because, in true predation, they expect the form or sensory characteristics of their victim to change in order to signal a successful kill. If this does not occur, then they're more likely to lose interest. In order to keep your cat's interest, keep play sessions relatively short and frequent, and rotate toys regularly. If using a laser dot to simulate a hunting game, why not end the session with a small food reward to simulate the capture of the laser dot and reduce frustration? Research has shown that owners who play with their cats for 5 minutes or more at a time are less likely to encounter a behaviour problem with their cat. Given that a cat will usually take around 30 minutes per hunting episode, it seems logical that play sessions up to this duration would be well received, but this does of course depend on the preferences of the individual cat in relation to play and human interaction. The extent to which cats interact with their owners can vary wildly, with some cats actively seeking out human contact on a regular basis, while others avoid it as much as possible. This is why it's important to bear in mind that attention should always be given on the cat's terms, as some cats can find excessive human interaction stressful. Cats are generally very good at letting us know what they want, and often an individual cat will develop an array of vocal signals designed to communicate effectively with their owner. While this vocalization may often be an attempt to elicit food from you, it's important not to reach for the cat food every time your cat meows. Your cat may actually prefer to be stroked or to play a game, which is much better for your cat's waistline and for your purse. Feline intelligence receives very little attention compared to that of other species, and you wouldn't automatically think of the cat when you consider an animal that could be trained to perform a task, for example. However, cats have already proven their astounding ability to learn and adapt to a novel environment. In a relatively short space of time, they've moved from the desert environment of their ancestors to city flats and are capable of reverting back to complete independence from man within a single lifetime if necessary. This in itself takes a certain degree of mental skill and demonstrates instrumental learning, the ability to link actions with consequences and to modify approach accordingly. The cat's potential to undergo instrumental learning was also demonstrated in a famous study by Thorndike. Here, cats were placed in a box and were required to perform a certain behaviour, such as depressing a lever, in order to escape. Repeated exposure to the box gradually shaped the behaviour until the cats learned what was required of them. However, Thorndike found that certain actions couldn't be trained, and that if the action already formed part of the cat's species-specific behaviour, then success was more likely. This is something that's true for all species, not just cats. For example, it's much easier to train the cat to perform a task that involves a paw swipe than a task that requires them to manipulate an object with their tail, as this is not a behaviour that forms part of their normal repertoire. The incentive and subsequent motivation to carry out the task is also very important. For example, cats, unlike dogs, are much less likely to respond to owner praise and will instead require food rewards or play to motivate them. So why not have a go at training your cat? Teach them to sit by waiting for the behaviour to be offered in response to the presentation of a tasty treat. Mark the behaviour with the click of a clicker and then give them the reward. This kind of mental stimulation can go a long way in providing environmental enrichment to our cats, something that's been shown to reduce the incidence of behaviour problems, which will be the focus of a later clip.